We're here today with Bill Bryan of Friends of Berry Tavern, about 2 miles south of Shullsburg in the old lead mining region of Wisconsin. Bill, what can you tell us about this place?
Well, it was built in 1840 by a man named Fortunatus Berry, who came west from New York in 1819. He and his family first settled in Illinois, but moved here to mine lead in 1827. He built a log inn and tavern on this spot 2 years later. When the Chicago-Galena stage line extended service into Wisconsin in 1837, it went along the road right out in front of here. To accommodate the number of travelers, Mr. Berry decided he needed a bigger place. So he tore down the log inn and put up this 12-room hotel. 100 years ago, the Daughters of the American Revolution put a granite marker out in front commemorating the event.
So, is this the original hotel?
Yes, but it's gone through some changes over the years. When stagecoach gave way to railroad, then later automobile, there was no longer need for a stage inn, so the Berry Tavern became a farmhouse. It was a working farm until the early 1970s when the barn and other farm buildings came down. It was then rental property until Friends of the Berry Tavern took ownership in 2013. It's been remodeled several times by past owners.
So, what's original?
The layout of the house is the same today as it was 175 years ago. Some walls have been moved. There's a full basement today where only a root cellar existed in 1840. The siding and windows are new. Otherwise, it's the same. We'll show you around. I'd like you to meet Chris Price and Corey Ritterbush of the Friends of the Berry Tavern.
Look at these original hand-hewn white oak timbers holding up this place. And these irregular pine floorboards are original throughout the entire house. This end of the basement, with the concrete block here, was excavated in 1966. The other end is the original stone cellar, where the cured ham and sides of beef were hung.
Corey, this was a tavern. There must have been a bar room.
Yes, of course. This was the parlor. This, the dining room. And the bar room was in here. We knew that when we started dissecting this building that we would come up with a lot of intriguing finds. In our work party in February, we decided to start tearing apart this bar room, and we were able to see how this thing operated. We learned that the bar was located right here. This would have been the bar back. There is a door going down to the cellar in the floor. This is where they would have stored the whiskey and the meat. But the most fascinating find was this little service door. And this allowed the bar and the restaurant portions of the business to exchange food and drinks to each other. And something you still find in restaurants today. So a service door like this is something you will only find in a former inn and tavern. And apparently this one is lucky enough to be from 1840.
Before we take a look upstairs, I wanted to mention that there were two historical events that this place is most known for. A famous, or rather infamous, 1842 murder and a cholera outbreak in 1854, which left 9 dead in a matter of hours and more in the days that followed. The history books describe the Berry Tavern as one of the leading houses of entertainment in the region. There were dances, parties, and balls held here regularly. At one ball, a dispute that began on the dance floor and moved to the bar was finally settled out in front with a guest shot dead. The killer paid with his life when he was hanged some months later. The cholera outbreak took away stage drivers, passengers, servants, the bartender, and the proprietor's entire family, except for one child. We'll show you the cholera victims' cemetery. But first, let's look upstairs. Corey?
This, believe it or not, was the ballroom. Not very large or elegant, but on the frontier, it served its purpose. While the ladies stayed up here to dance, the men waited their turn in the barroom below. A ball manager would call names down the stairs from a list. The hotel was separated from the ballroom and bar by this corridor. And here you have the sleeping rooms, with 2 more downstairs, off parlor. Let's take a look at a few things outside.
This root cellar was built at the same time as the tavern, and it's still used today. During the cholera outbreak, the doctor and even the coffin maker died. With no one to bury the victims, they were wrapped in gunny sacks and piled here until they later could be put to rest.
How many died?
The newspapers reported that 25 contracted cholera at the inn and 17 died.
Let me show you where they're buried. There are only 7 stones remaining, uncovered by a road grader in the 1940s. These are mostly family members. Some of the others were probably buried in unmarked graves.
So Corey, aside from a cholera epidemic and a murder, what else took place here?
Well, quite a bit, actually. Early on, it was visited by many of the famous people of the area. Governor Henry Dodge, Shullsburg's founder Jesse Shull. During the Black Hawk War, this was a meeting spot. Later, it served as a schoolhouse, and it became one of the first post offices in the state of Wisconsin, the first of which to not be attached to a military post. A doctor's office was stationed here for many years, and the first Methodist sermon in the state of Wisconsin was held right here at this site. So it had a deep history, and it was really the center of attention for the entire area.
This marker has probably done more than anything else to keep interest focused on this site over the years. Berry Tavern's place in history has not been forgotten.